I always tell people that you're more capable than you think you are.
Be original. Don't be like the guy on the radio. Great music will prevail. So I would tell people, make great music. Don't make other people's music. Make your own.
Money don't make me, so I just say, you know what? I just gotta be happy in my life. Build your team. Look around you. Figure out all these parts, because you can't do it all yourself. You're gonna burn out and get tired.
Never burn any bridges. You never know who someone's gonna be.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
Welcome to the Indie Playbook, presented by Focus Noise, where we allow you a rare look behind the curtains and past the gatekeepers into the green room, the boardroom, and everywhere in between. About 2 years ago, I decided I wanted to do a podcast. I don't know what made me have such a crazy idea, but I realized that I'd now been pursuing success in the music business for almost 20 years, and I was finally to the point where I was making a living. Not a great living, but a living nonetheless. And as I thought about what I could offer that could actually help others along their path, all I really had was my experience. That and some recently formed music industry connections over the past few years since I'd become a booking agent. So I researched and bought the recording equipment I needed to start my podcast, and I booked my first guests. Then when on tour in Kentucky, I conducted my first interview with my friend Mark Evans. He's a great promoter, musician, venue owner, tour manager, etc. The interview was riddled with so many of my ums and pauses that I don't know if I'll ever air that episode, but we'll see. Next, I met with Sean Healy, a successful independent promoter from LA. We had a great conversation about pay-to-play, a controversial method utilizing opening artists that sell tickets in order to be included on a show with a bigger headlining artist. And that's when I felt like we were tackling some issues that people might care about. After another 6 interviews, I did some minor edits and recorded an intro, and I was ready to put out my brand new podcast. And then a week went by, and then a month, and then 6 months, and I still hadn't released one episode. During this period of time, my wife and I had a daughter, and business began to pick up immensely. I was booking and managing multiple tours at the time, and I began to justify putting the podcast on the back burner because I was just too busy. Finally, after another few months, I realized it wasn't a lack of time that was the problem. After all, these episodes were already recorded. It was actually fear that was getting in my way. I was afraid nobody would listen. I was afraid my voice wasn't entertaining enough or the show didn't have enough humor. But ultimately, I got in my own way. And this wasn't the first time. For years, I've been a self-inflicted victim of good ideas with no follow-through. I've let both the fear of failure and the fear of success stifle my ability to take action. Ironically, the whole point of this podcast was to give listeners actionable advice that they could take and use in their own lives that might increase their success rate. And the other piece of irony here is that every day in business, when I face any difficult situations or have any feelings of trepidation, I always try to handle it immediately so I don't allow the fear to build up inside and make it a bigger issue than it really is. But here I am, hiding behind a cloak of fear. So after 2 years, I'm finally bringing you my first podcast, the Indie Playbook. Stay tuned. Today's guest is Steve Lobel. He's a legend in the hip-hop game. After getting introduced to the business by the late, great Jam Master Jay from Run DMC, Steve went on to become one of hip-hop's most recognizable managers. Currently, Lobel manages the legendary group Bone Thugs-n-Harmony and super producer Scott Storch, who's worked with The Roots, Dr. Dre, Fat Joe, and many others. Steve blesses us with a ton of great stories and advice, including lessons learned from Russell Simmons, Lyor Cohen, and others. He prides himself on honesty and integrity, and he doesn't back down from any questions, sharing very personal details and great business guidance. This is a great episode for any aspiring artist, producer, or future executive looking for more insight on advancing his or her career. So without further ado, here's Steve. I'm out here with Steve Lobel, legendary artist manager, A&R, worked with everyone from Run DMC, Fat Joe, to Bone Thugs and Harmony, who you've worked with for like 20 years now, right?
Well, first of all, how you doing, Eric? Thank you
Good.
for having me. And yeah, that shows a lot about me, huh?
Yeah.
One artist for over 20 years, Bone Thugs and Harmony.
It's incredible. It's rare these days.
6 months is rare.
I know. So can you give us a little background on the evolution of your career?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a real brand, so I stay consistent into interviews that I do. And it was funny, I was reading you an email offline right now about how someone checked me out online and said that they didn't know who I was. And then they got to know me through my interviews and me being interviewed and saying that I stay consistent. And a real brand stays consistent. A lot of people switch up. But and I don't want to sound repetitive, but again, I'm a real brand. So a lot of people who know of me know my story. Maybe you can get some other gems out of me.
Right.
That's why I do these interviews, to get different gems from my career, because, I'm writing a book. But I started in the game through the great late Jam Master Jay from Run DMC, rest in peace. He was my friend and my brother and mentor in Run DMC, and Russell Simmons. I'm from Queens. I never forget where I come from.
2 years ago, a friend of mine asked me to say some MC rhyme. So I said this rhyme I'm about to say. The rhyme was there, so then it went this way.
I was running around Run DMC and Def Jam and Rush Management and all the labels and going on tour, and I was around the Beastie Boys and LL Cool J and Public Enemy and EPMD. But I'm like, what am I going to do to make money? So, I just got in where I fit in and learned and soaked up game from like Russell Simmons, Lyor Cohen, and Kevin Liles and a bunch of people I was around in the beginning stages. But then I was like, you know what? I don't know if this is for me. So I opened up some bars near St. John's University. So Mark Jackson used to come, and Chris Mullen, and, Run DMC used to come. And one day, I had Onyx come, Fredro, Sticky Fingers, and Jam Master Jay discovered Onyx. And they wanted to create a white guy, like a Marky Mark, to do like an ad with Calvin Klein. And they had this whole song they written, and my bar had a lot of Italian kids, so they used it for like the casting.
Right.
So we made this song, and one of my bartenders, Eddie Frank, he worked at Sony during the week, but on the weekends he worked for my bar because he wanted to mess with the fraternity girls on the weekends.
Right.
So when the Onyx song was done, and Jam Master Jay did the song with Onyx for this kid they took it to Relativity Sony. So I went to the meeting, and that's when I met Alan Grumblatt.
Right.
Alan Grumblatt is the president of E1 Entertainment, a $1 billion company, but at that time he's working at Relativity Sony. So I got a job. Well, I went to the meeting, and then he said, I like you. I was like, okay, I like you. But he's like, you want a job? I'm like, man, I own a bar. Like, I do my thing, And he was like, wow, I like, you should come on. So I said to Jay, what do you think? He's like, shit, why not? It was crazy because I had to give it some thought. And then a couple months later, I got in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
And I sold my bars. And then I got into the music industry through Relativity, meaning after the whole Run DMC and being around Def Jam, I started going to work at Relativity, but it was no pay. It was really no money, and I'm used to getting my money and doing my thing. So I said, you know what? I just get in where I fit in. Why not? Let me check it out. I'm an opportunist, and I take advantage of things in a good way. And from there, I met Fat Joe,
Right.
Frankie Cutlass, Common Sense, Eazy-E, because Ruthless Records was distributed there, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Bloods of Abraham, App Band Clan, which Will.i.am was in, the whole Suave House, 8-Ball and MJG, 3-6 Mafia, through Hypnotized Minds was through there. Just so many different artists was signed to Relativity, a New York-based label.
Right.
And then, man, I started off, honestly, putting posters up in retail stores.
Right.
But remember, when I was Run DMC, I was, doing different things, and I was learning different things as well. So I didn't really care. So I just started putting up posters, and I started doing radio, and I started doing video promotions and mix show, and da-da-da-da-da. Next thing I became an A&R, and the rest is history.
So when you were with Run DMC, that was something I wanted to talk to you about. Were you more of an observer? It wasn't a job at the time, right?
Man, it was whatever you want to call it.
Right.
At that time, there was no really positions. It was like 86, 87, 88. And, man, whatever needed to be done. Sometimes I drove the van. Sometimes I carried Jam Master Jay's records. Sometimes I went to meetings. Sometimes I had whatever needed to be done.
Right.
I was just there. I wasn't in position. But at the end of the day, it was knowledge. It was experience. Like, who gets on a tour bus and travels the country and then get to come back home and tell stories? Like, I would have never even traveled to see in the country. If I never got in the music industry, I would have never seen the world,
Right.
which I saw. So And I was going to cool parties and meeting cool people, and I'm like, yo, this is cool. But at the end of the day, I started to make money, so I was just soaking it up.
Right. What's the most important thing you learned from Jam Master Jay?
Man, you know, I don't want to say I learned this from Jam Master Jay, but I learned we had the same traits like integrity and loyalty. But Jay always used to sell me like, man, he told me a couple of things I want to give like something. Yeah, it was I did it. Someone interviewed Jay, and he said, you know, Jay always said to me, always do it for the love, not the money, because the money will always come.
Right. Which is crazy. It had so much foresight because at the time there wasn't money in hip hop like it is. So he was way ahead of his time.
Right. And then someone taught me years later, money comes and goes, but history stays.
Right.
So as long as you keep making history, you can make money.
Yeah. So then when you started to learn the business through those guys, you started working more closely with Russell Simmons as well?
Yeah, no, I used to be at Rush Management. And Rush Management back in the days, I don't remember all the roster, but I think Public Enemy was on Rush Management, EPMD was Rush Management, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince was Rush Management, and then Def Jam, I think, yeah, LL was signed to Def Jam, but he might have been managed by Rush Management. Run DMC was signed to Profile Records,
right,
but managed by Rush Management. People always thought, Run DMC was signed to Def Jam. So, I was around Rush Management and Def Jam. So one was a management company, one was Def Jam. And, man, I used to be scared of Lyor Cohen. I used to always be around him, and that guy was, like, straightforward. I'm like, I would just soak it up and listen and, like, wow. And, now, look, he's running 300 Entertainment. He's still doing his thing. But, Russell's like a mentor. Me and Russell are friends.
Right.
I still see him a lot. I never asked Russell for nothing, never in my career. And I just soaked up game and just listened and stuff every opportunity I can. But to be honest with you, Jam Master Jay was a smart guy too.
Right.
He knew business. He was an A&R because he discovered 50 Cent. He discovered Onyx. He discovered J.L. Felony, the West Coast legend. He discovered a lot of things. He was the first fashion guy with Walker wear. Shout out April Walker. Tupac, Biggie. Eric Tretch was wearing Walker wear, and now it's back. It's got the W with the slash. You'll see Biggie and Pac in that. So Jay was, innovative. He was the fly guy, styling, and always, stylish and so on and so forth, and a DJ. So I learned a lot from him and soaked it up. Right.
So as a mentor, what was the most important thing that Russell taught you?
Man, honestly, people call me the white Russell Simmons. I don't know why. I mean, okay, I'm white, I got a bald head and wear Adidas, but, man, I don't wish I was anybody, but, I wish I was, man, Russell got a lot of money. But what I learned from Russell is, man, as many times as I spoke to him and was around him, was he always said, be yourself.
Right.
Always be yourself. Don't change for nobody. And it's funny because I say the N-word a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's documented on Power 105, The Breakfast Club. Russell Simmons was doing an interview. It was a funny story. Russell lives in L.A. I think I was the first one to come to L.A. I've been out here over 20 years. Russell came, 50 came, Puffy came. Everybody started coming.
Right.
But I was driving down Fairfax, and I had a convertible Mercedes at the time. And this was a couple years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. And Russell was in a range. We were going opposite ways on Fairfax. So I turned over. He turned over. So every time we see each other, saw him last week, it's like, what's up, my nigga? That's how we, what's up, my nigga? What's up? We turn heads. Yo, what up? And we kept going.
Right.
And he happened to be at Power 105 Breakfast Club doing an interview, and Envy and Angela Lee and Charlamagne were there. And they were talking about, I think the subject was white people saying the N-word.
Right.
And Russell kept avoiding it. He does I don't want to talk about that. And I guess they kept putting him in a corner. And he was like, you know what? Y'all know Steve Lobel? And they were like, yeah, of course we know Steve. Because Envy know me from Queens. Charlamagne know me, Angela, so whatever.
Right.
I've been around 30 years, but this was like 3-4 years ago. Or maybe the interview was 2 years ago, but at the end of the day, they know me.
Right.
So they were like, yeah, he tells the story. It was like on some movie shit. I'm driving one way, he's just this dude leaning back. And he, that's Steve Lobel. What am I going to? Hey, shit. Kept it going. And,
right.
And Russell says, yo, Steve Lobel can say the N-word. I'm cool with it. He gets a pass. So it's from where you're from. But not to talk about the N-word, but Russell always told me, be yourself at all times. And I have to be myself. Anybody who knows me for over at least a decade knows that I'm still the same person. I repeat myself. I forget. I'm crazy. I'm straightforward. People get intimidated. I'm in Adidas, jeans, and a polo shirt. Like, I don't switch up. I don't follow a trend. I'm a leader, not a follower.
Right, yeah. So Jamie Adler, who we both work with, showed me the trailer for your reality show, and you got the dopest drop from Russell saying that he was the Black Steve Lobel. I thought that was dope.
Yeah, that was, I walked out the room. They were filming. I didn't even know he was going to say it, but he said, well, if they call him the White Russell and the Black Steve Lobel, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Right.
Right. No, you know what it is? I tell people that hard work pays off.
Right.
And, I was saying offline was that if I could change things and do different things, I would have. But I'm a loyal guy, and I stay down for my artist over everything loyal. And a lot of the people in the music industry are not loyal, and they're selfish, and they care about themselves, and they're snakes. It's a cutthroat business. And I didn't fall into that. And I don't know. Like I said, man, it's a gift and a curse. I think I could have a lot more money and a lot more freedom if I made certain choices. But I guess that God drives my path, and this is what he wants from me. So I just continue to keep it going and continue breathing.
Right. I guess, I don't know. I remember I told you that I used to intern at Relativity when you were there. You remember that?
No.
Okay.
Now, and for the record.
Well, you wouldn't remember me because I was just the intern.
Yeah,
but
for the record, anybody who's listening to this or any interviews I do, I forget a lot of things and I repeat myself. And that's because I was at Kanye West's birthday party, his 30th birthday, in a Louis Vuitton store in Manhattan, and a shelf fell on my head. It's public record.
Okay.
So back to so you interned at Relativity.
So I interned
was I
at
there?
You were there, and I remember you because you have such a strong presence. I mean, I don't remember a lot of people there at the time because this was 98. So we're talking 18 years ago. But I do remember you sat next to, like, you would come in and sit at the desk right across from me. And not like all the time, but you would sit there. And I just remember that presence you had because you were strong. Like, people didn't question you. Is that something you always had, or is that something you developed?
Wow. I mean, I had hair back then, right? I had to have hair.
I'm sure you
had
did.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I just give respect and I gain respect. I have a strong personality. When I walk in the room, like, I'm not intimidated by no one. People are intimidated by me. I don't know. Like, I just have a strong presence, a strong personality. I don't know. I just think I'm a real guy. And if you're fake or you're timid, you can't be around me. You're not going to be able to handle it. But, I mean, I don't smile much. I call it how it is. I say what I say. I walk the walk. I talk the talk. And sometimes it's good and bad. But I try to have a voice, and I try to have a presence.
You mentioned you don't smile much, but
No.
obviously your life is something that millions of people would trade places with you in a second. You hang out with celebrities all the time. You made good money. Are you happy with the way your life's turned out?
I mean, that's an amazing question. Don't judge a book by its cover. We're all celebrities. I try to tell it to everybody all the time because we're all going to be buried in the ground, or we're all going to die one day, so we're all the same. Certain people have more money and fame than others. Mm-hmm. We all bleed red blood. We all shit, eat, go to sleep, stuff like that. So I feel like, money just changes certain people, or money and fame, but we're all celebrities. Am I happy deep down inside? It's funny. Someone asked me this. I had to go see a psychiatrist, which I never did, but I needed some help and wanted to go speak to somebody. And I don't think I've ever been happy in my life. And people would think I'm happy. I got a nice house. I'm blessed, and nice car, nice this, nice that. And I made money. I lost money. I traveled the world. So you would think I'm blessed. But I always say this. I go home to an empty house, so to speak. No wife, no children. I have trust issues. I'm stuck in my ways. I'm stubborn. So it's hard. I think that I really found out recently what makes me happy. What makes me happy is like hiking every morning, looking at the horses, watching football, go to a football game. Those are two things that really make me happy. To be honest with you, I didn't think I was ever happy in my last 30 years of my life. So people think, they assume, but I was always taught don't assume. But you would think I'm happy, but not because I don't smile. I just never smile. But deep down inside, I don't think I was really happy. I think I was just in the work mode, like I only knew one thing and the blinders were on, and this work, artist, travel, studio, make records, parties, industry. And I think that after I went through deaf experiences like my mom and my little dog, I needed to find myself. So like I said, like football, sports, hiking, I'm happy.
Do you think that a lot of people go through that where they're working hard for so many years to reach this, what they assume is going to be like a plateau, and they accomplish all their goals and they get there and it feels empty?
Yeah, I've heard this story from a lot of people, especially in the music industry.
Right. And you don't drink or do drugs. You never did any of that stuff, right?
No, I don't mean, everybody assumes and thinks I'm on coke because I twitch my nose. People think I drink. People think I smoke weed because I'm around the rappers. To be totally honest with you, I'll drink on New Year's Eve maybe, depending on my mood, because I'm a moody person.
Right.
I have some champagne. For the last 5-6 years, I've been getting drunk on my birthday, on Thanksgiving. I've been throwing parties in New York. I have like Moscata or rum chata. I like sweet stuff. I'm not a drinker, never was. Cigarettes, no. Weed, no. Coke, everything, no. I smoked weed once in my life in Amsterdam with one of my artists, Man, and Jam Master Jay's son. And then this past 420, I smoked this big joint with Scott Storch. But never been into that. People assumed it and thought that. But they're like, why didn't you fall into it? Or why didn't you like it? You've been around it all. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm addicted to sugar. I like Snicker bars and desserts.
Do you
So that's
think
a drug.
you think the music business is a horrible place for someone with an addictive personality?
I think the world is hard for addicted personality. You could be addicted to pussy. You could be addicted to gambling. You could be addicted to drugs. You could be addicted to sugar and sweets. You could be addicted to different things.
Right.
I just think the world. I don't think the music industry should be stereotyped that be addicted to things because everybody's smoking medical marijuana now. Back in the days, rappers would, but I guarantee if people were able to get a hold of it, they were smoking it. Now everybody's smoking it. Doctors, lawyers, geeks, street dudes, you know. So I don't think it's just the music. I think it's the world.
I guess why I bring that up is because you see a lot of artists, and when they're young, they make a name for themselves partying, right? A lot of their music is party music. As they get older, they still have to go out and perform those songs. Promoters have an expectation of them. They want to kick it with them backstage. They want to drink with them. People are buying them shots. It's not an easy place to wean yourself off of, you know, if you have issues with alcohol or drugs.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Scott Storch I manage, and he went through a hardcore drug situation. Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses, hardcore drug thing. We worked with him, and people coming up every second thinking it's cool, giving him coke, and meanwhile trying to keep him clean. So it's hard. Like if I walk backstage to a dressing room, an artist got Snickers and cupcakes, I'm right to that.
Right.
And if you have an artist that doesn't drink Hennessy no more, that's right in their face, it's hard. So it's all serious drugs. And like I said, you can go through the guy who works all day and then comes home and just drinks at night. He's alcoholic and abuses his wife. So I don't know. It's each his own, I guess.
Right. And you mentioned as a manager, you have so many hats you have to wear. What's the hardest thing you have to do that no one in their right mind would want to do? I
mean, to be honest with you, man, I should have stayed being in A&R. I should have stayed at a label, getting a secure check, 401k, health insurance, expense account, a steady check. But I don't know. Like I said, God drifted me into what I'm doing. But I didn't know as a manager that I'm going to be a babysitter. I'm going to have to put out fires. I'm going to have to deal with bullshit, a loan shark, drugs, this, girlfriends, wives. Like I deal with so much shit as a manager. Like it's like I'm a fire. I put out fires, and then I'm a dot connector. And I think the hardest thing is two things: to have an artist that you worked with for a long time, and to I'm a dinosaur, but I'm fossil fuel. So to try to take an artist that's a dinosaur and make him fossil fuel, and to understand how the industry is changing every 4 or 5 years, to teach them that, if they don't understand that's the hardest thing because they're still stuck in their ways. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes laziness or stubbornness or ego or just stuck in their ways.
Right.
So it depends. You get new artists, then you have to teach them. Mm-hmm. And then they can get amnesia and the loyalty goes away, or they forgot who put them on and helped them out. So it's a fucked up situation.
Does that hinder you from working with new artists at times, or at least make you skeptical?
Yeah, I mean, at this point in my life, man, I get turned off quick. I'm ready to say fuck and walk away, and I don't care how much time and energy I put in, but nothing's worse than someone who's not loyal and have integrity.
Right.
Me. Some people don't give a fuck. These managers will be out there, they'll smile on their face and rob them, get the money, keep it moving and deal with it. I got more emotions and stuff, and sometimes that's takes the best of me in a good or bad way.
Right. So now that you've been independent for so many years, what are the different streams of income that you created that are, rolling in now?
And and just so you know, a lot of people at these labels can't be independent. They wouldn't last a day in the street. They couldn't handle it. They need that security because they just don't got that backbone. But you got to diversify your money, real estate, annuities, different investments. The way we make money these days is obviously if an artist is touring, publishing, getting record deals, merchandise, stuff like that. You commission it, so on and so forth.
Okay. Let's see.
And before you go to the next one, I want to know. So let's go back to relativity.
Okay, let's go back to relativity.
Wow. So when did I sat in two places, one in the front and one in the back. So after I went to the back, but
so I went back and forth from Red to Relativity. They sent me back and forth, but I was working under Dwayne Wright at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And from what I heard, he left the industry pretty shortly after.
Dwayne worked for Red, right?
He was upstairs in the Relativity.
So he was in the
office.
Relativity office, and what did he do? Retail?
He did, yeah.
He did retail stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And who were you working for at Red?
Daryl Poe.
No, I just knew Alan Becker, Sal Carter.
Jose Lopez. They just had me. I mean, when I would go down to Red, I'd be stuffing packages for MOP and Beat Nuts and Common and
Oh yeah, I forgot the Beat Nuts. So did you remember Hova?
No.
Yeah, she used to run the building, run both floors. She was like the human resource lady.
Oh, okay.
So when you came up to Relativity, who were you working with up there?
I was working with Dwayne.
Right. So then Muhammad Ali was there.
Uh-huh.
Chris Muhammad was there.
I remember Chris Muhammad.
Rich Kid, he was a general. They were doing street promotions.
Right.
Kevin Carroll did radio. Alan Grummer was there.
Right.
Dave Bett was doing the artwork. Luxie was doing A&R. Cliff Coltrari. That's funny, man. Wow. I mean, I was in and out of the office because I was going back and forth, L.A. back and forth, and that brings back some memories. But
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the roster was dope back then.
Amazing. Me and Juicy J were just talking about that the other day. I put Scott Storch and Juicy J in the studio to work, and Juicy and me were talking about the first gold album they got because I brought it. He signed it for me, but he was like, "Wow, a New York label was signing everything but New York except Fat Joe and Frankie Cutlass, and Beat Nuts.
Yeah,
but Common was from Chicago, Ruthless from West Coast, 3-6 Mafia from Memphis, Suave House, Houston. It was crazy.
Right.
So for a guy from New York, you learn quick about a lot of different type of music, and it's a big country out there.
Yeah. And I still work with MOP. I just booked their last tour,
their
last U.S. tour, so I'm still in touch with Lays.
Man, I just ran into Lays.
Yeah.
Lays is my man. Tell him I said hello. I ran into Fame and Billy somewhere, but they just ran into Fame again. So yeah, great guys. MOP is amazing.
Yeah.
It was funny. I got a crazy story, man.
Okay.
MOP signed to Relativity, and they did a song with Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. If you remember.
I do. 4 Alarm Blaze.
Okay.
What the fuck? Too ass quick for bastards to step to. Leave wounds too drastic for rescue. When I rock Jews.
So, in Relativity's building was Rockefeller.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay-Z needed to come to the video. And for some reason, it wasn't happening. Mm-hmm. Me and Alan Grumble went downstairs to Damon Dash's office and told Damon he had dogs running around his office. He was getting his pedicure done, manicure, sitting like a real boss, eating. And we're like, Jay-Z needs to get to that fucking video shoot. I think we had to pay him for the feature and video and say he needs to get there. And Alan left me in charge of that. And I don't know how, I remember everything, but I went to Brooklyn and Jay-Z showed up to the video. I'm just mad because I never got no pictures or video footage or nothing back then. But I see Damon here and there. We laugh about it,
Yeah.
I just ran into Jay-Z. I should have told him about it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't even know that MOP did a song with Jay-Z.
Yeah. No, I remember. That's one of those records we were out pushing to stores. So
I was at the video shoot, and I was there when we had to go and, literally beg Damon Dash to get Jay-Z to go to the video.
Yeah. So Thomas Edison coined a phrase that was, "We often miss opportunity because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work." And obviously you're known for your hard work ethic. You coined the phrase, we work in. Do you believe that someone can actually create talent with hard work, or is it something that's innate that you're born with?
I mean, that's a dope quote. Yeah, I say we working, that's my Instagram because I'm always working. And my mind's always working, even in my sleep and when I wake up. And it's a work ethic that I have from my dad, I've been working since I'm 9 years old, shoveling snow, raking leaves, delivering newspapers, busting tables, being a waiter, so on and so forth. But I think talent is within if you're a songwriter, if you're a rapper, if you're a producer, if you're a basketball player, football player. But if you work hard at it, you can only get better.
Right.
So if you work hard on your craft, you become better and better and better. It takes time to work on that. So if you said to me, what's my talent? And I say, I don't play basketball, I don't rap and sing and dance. I would say my talent is structure in business, relationships, contacts, knowing how to negotiate in the meetings, deal with people as a people's person, have a personality and so on and so forth. A lot of people don't have that. So that's what makes me a manager. So I could only get better sometimes when I make mistakes or I fall, and you learn from your mistakes. But talent, it all depends on which talent. But hard work and knowledge and time will make you a better talented person in whatever you do.
Okay. You do think you have a leg up at whatever your talent is, and then you just kind of work from there to get better?
Yes and no, because I'm still learning, and I fumble sometimes, and I learn from my mistakes, and sometimes yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard this saying that you're an average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, or have you not heard that?
Wow, that's crazy you say that, because I was watching something today, and they said that, and I was like, fuck. I started, wait, who am I around?
That's what I was going to ask.
Who am I around?
Who are your 5 people?
I mean, lately, man, I'm not around a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
I try not to be around a lot of people, man. I think I put a quote up today, and what I want to be around is, to be honest with you, is I'll tell you the quote.
Okay.
I put up, surround yourself with people who wouldn't change if your situation was 10 times better or 10 times worse. And I analyzed like my surroundings for that, right? I've been on some motivational things because everybody knows my social media is like pictures and stuff. There's real ones, then there's people who act like real ones. Learn the difference. You know what I mean?
Right.
Trust the lies, not the truth. So, who would be there if I was up or down? Look, I don't need to show out names. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But New York, I would know. My family's in New York. Most of my blood family, all my family's in New York and Florida. But I have extended family out here that's not blood, but So I think a couple people. Do you want me to name them?
I mean, I'm kind of interested in. I mean, obviously you're a loyal person, and that matters to you. But is it important to surround yourself with people who are high achievers, who are smarter than you, who kind of drive you to be better? Or at this point in your life, does that not matter as much?
It's funny they say that, right?
Right.
And I agree and disagree. Because I've been around some street cats that ain't got a pot to piss in, and their loyalty and integrity is better than someone that I know who's got millions. So it's weird when it comes to me because, I get what you're saying and I understand that philosophy, but it goes back to that loyalty and integrity because then I feel like, man, okay, this person's super successful, got a lot of money, I could benefit and do some things around, but they just fucking not loyal or snakish and you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when they say surround yourself with successful people, but if the successful people don't got them same principles and morals as you, I don't want to be around that. Give a fuck how much money you got. I'd rather go fuck with a street dude.
Right.
So it's a gift and a curse. I had a meeting last night with people who are so filthy rich, and it was amazing. So it depends. It depends on the person and the individual. In New York, I hang out with millionaires. They got incredible businesses going. They're great people. And I hang out with street cats, got no money, but they're incredible people. And I bring them to the rich people, and they get to go in the boat and the pool and show a different side of a life.
Right.
And then those rich people accept them. See, I'm a guy who puts all types of races and religions and cultures together because as crazy as it might sound, if America would accept black people like they would accept black culture, we'd be in a different, better society. Because let's keep it 100, and I'm Jewish, and I think you're Jewish.
Yep. That
the first 10 rows at the Laker game or the Knicks game is white people,
right,
making the black basketball player rich, but they're the same people telling their kids not to stay around the black people. Mm-hmm. So, again, I feel like you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and I just feel like a lot of rich people, no matter, they could be Persian, Armenian, Jewish, Italian, whatever, they're infatuated with celebrities, they're infatuated with rappers, they're infatuated with athletes. Because I can go in business and charge people just to come to the MTV Awards and get pictures on the red carpet with celebrities or get backstage at a concert. And then they don't want to be around those people.
Right.
And what made me who I am is because I'm a white Jewish guy from Queens. I was able to go in the studios and be around the Foxes, mm-hmm, and be around the MOPs, and then come to the office and be around the A&Rs and the presidents and the vice presidents of companies that didn't want to deal with that.
Right.
You understand?
To the mediator.
No, I'm not a mediator. I'm around the
you
guns.
You can bring people together.
I'm around the guns, the weed, the drugs, the music, the posses, the
right,
streets, and then I'm coming to deal and sitting in a corporate boardroom. So I would say I'm the glue, not the mediator, because there was no beef. And if there was beef or the artist came to flip, I have to step in.
Right.
So, so the media, you call it. I jumped into so much shit that goes on in this music business with artists getting robbed and beef that you have no clue.
Right.
That they call the white Jewish dude from New York when they're getting robbed in L.A. Trust me. And I'll never say names, but, I want to put a lot in my book. But, again, I know a couple of people that would be with me if I had it or didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I would say that Jamie Adler's one. Yeah. I would say my guy Mexican Sean would be one. My partner Big U would be one. I'm just saying people. You know what I mean? And there's some artists that I feel would be like that. Fat Joe. Right. But again, like I said, I don't want to drop names. I'm not the type of guy. But yeah. I just feel like, again, wouldn't you rather be around people, regardless if they're rich or poor, but you knew they would never fuck your wife and stab you in the back?
Of course.
And then you'd be around some rich motherfuckers, and they know when you turn around, they're trying to fucking, hit on your wife or fucking take something. You know what I'm saying? So there's good and bad in all types of people, good and bad in all types of races, religion, rich or poor. And remember, everything goes up must come down. Right. So again, I try to surround myself with people. I'm a loner. I be around a lot of people. When it's time to go home, I want to be by myself. I try to surround myself with people, with different people. And that's what makes me different. Now, my guys are in from Holland. I take them to the Power 106 celebrity basketball game. We run to all the rappers, street dudes, this, and that. Like, man, how you know these people? Then the next night, I take them to the Huntley Hotel in Santa Monica, and it's all Italian people, rich, filthy rich. Like, how you know these people? I walk in all types of circles. Mm-hmm. That's what makes me unique. A lot of people can't adapt and walk in different circles, and I still go to the Huntley Hotel with the same thing I wore to the Power 106 basketball game. I don't change my style and throw on a suit and tie because I'm around those people. I got to be myself. Right. If you remember, Russell Simmons would show up at a fucking black tie affair in fucking Adidas. Mm-hmm. So you always be yourself, going back to what he taught me. So as long as I know how to carry myself and talk to people, it's okay. I found out going to that party in Santa Monica penthouse rooftop that more people were on me more because they knew I worked with rappers than people that It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. So did you ever have any doubts in yourself or self-confidence kind of questions when you would walk into a certain room at the beginning when you weren't used to maybe dealing with business people who made millions? And if so, what did you do to conquer that?
Man, usually people get intimidated by me, and I don't really get intimidated by a lot of people, but sometimes I'd walk in and I'd be intimidated. Right. So I had to play my position. I do talk a lot. Sometimes in there, like, I would have to listen a lot and learn from them and soak it up. But if I had to do business with them and they expected me to speak on whoever's behalf, I just had to do what I had to do and just be myself. Right. Put the rest in God's hands. But man, if you don't know the business or you don't really know, how people can be in business, like sharks, and you fragile and you walk in and you're fragile, right? Man, they're gonna chew you up.
And you hear stories about them just screwing people left and right.
So I ain't gonna lie. I think the only one I'm intimidated by was Lyor Cohen. Because he just knew so much, and I just I got to soak this up. I can't go to war with this guy or battle with him in business, but I tried. So you just do your best. But That was a great question. Did I answer it right?
Yeah, it's perfect. Have you been able to take anyone under your wing? And if so, what's the most important piece of advice you made sure to give them?
You know how many people I did that for?
I can imagine. So what do you always make sure that they learn? If they're with you for, a day or 10 years, whatever, what do you make sure they know when they leave?
To be honest with you, I tell them, these are my gems. I try to tell people, and they can take whatever they want. Less is more. Mm-hmm. Quality over quantity. Loyalty, respect, principles, morals, integrity. I took a lot of people under my wing, man. And I would say 50-50, don't want to work hard. They want it real quick.
Right.
And because they feel like they're associated with me, it's be easier. I told someone this 2 days ago. I said, I could be so much bigger and have so much more stuff going on if I had a team. And every time I try to build a team, things fall apart. Because everybody's younger than me, and they want it to happen overnight.
Right.
They don't want to put the work in. They feel like they're owed something or obligated to get something. So that turns me off, or I feel like, why do I owe you this? Or why am I obligated to this? I put all this years and work into it.
Right.
Like,
you're bringing them into the business.
What are you doing?
Right.
So, I'm not going to drop names. There's a couple. And then people just get caught and greedy and stuff like that. So, helped a lot of people, man. But, God helped me. So,
right.
I'm a giver. I'm not really a taker.
Yeah. So, this is a real specific question. This kind of...
I'm ready for every question.
Okay.
I love this.
Okay,
it's not the typical, interview.
Right. So you're working with an artist who only has a $5,000 budget to release an album that's already been mixed, mastered, and packaged. What would you spend it on? And I specifically say $5,000 because we're talking bare bones. Like if for an artist who only has $5,000 to spend to promote an album that's already done, what would you do with that?
The question is, my advice to an artist that has $5,000 budget to do what with the budget? You want me to tell you what they should do with the budget?
Yeah, that's...
A new artist?
Yep.
Wow. I mean, if this was years ago, I would tell you, there's nothing.
Right.
Does the artist have songs already?
Everything's recorded, mixed and mastered, and pressed. So...
Okay. Look, I have a consulting business, which I
right.
charge for. I'm going to give you this free gem, which will go viral. But, it's Steve Lobel Consulting. 5,000 is not a lot these days, but you can make some stuff happen. I would try to see what show is coming in your market with a name, an artist name, and maybe use $1,000 to maybe buy onto 3 shows, maybe $250 a show. Get on there and get your exposure. Make sure you have someone there filming it so you get the content. Make sure you're selling some merch and some CDs and stuff like that. So maximize. So you pay to play.
Right.
It's always good to invest in yourself. You could probably shoot a video or a couple of videos for maybe $2,000 of that $5,000. And then maybe use $1,000 to get a social campaign going and getting your video on some blogs. And then maybe use some of that money to back and reinvest in yourself as far as a better track, production-wise, maybe better sound mastering or quality, or maybe reinvest in more product, shirts, CDs. If your business ain't right, maybe give an attorney some money and make sure you signed up to BMI or ASCAP.
Right.
Make sure you have an attorney on your side in case you have to sign contracts. So if you have that $5,000, put away a couple dollars for an attorney, because there's a business side that a lot of these artists don't know about too.
Right.
Or, even going and maybe investing in flying out to the Revolt convention in Miami, maybe flying out to LA around BET Awards and go and meet some people, or maybe going to New York and trying to get to see some people and come having meetings with people. or even like paying a consultant like me to give you some advice. So, that's what I would spend my money on.
Right. So say someone's coming up to you.
I gave you a lot of different
things.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's helpful. Say someone's coming up to you and trying to pique your interest to get you to work with them, a younger artist. How do you recommend they approach you?
Just so you know, it happens every day.
Yeah, of course.
At least 20 emails a day. Check my music. Can you manage me? Can you help me? Can you this? And I forward it right to my partner, to my consulting business, and we listen to everything because I could find the next whoever out of it.
Right.
Or I could hear this dope song and be like, who wrote this, and found a dope songwriter, or who did the production. Like, you never know. So we listen, but we charge for the advice of listening to stuff because you can't manage everybody. You can't help everybody, but you can consult everybody.
First of all, where should people hit you up if they're listening?
My Instagram is We Working with a G, and my email's on my Instagram. You can Google my name and you can find me.
Perfect.
But the way you should approach somebody is, look, if you're going to approach them online, send an email, send another email. Don't go too hard in the email. Follow up with the email, but don't be too annoying. But remember, so many people get so many emails, gets caught in the spam, this one. It all depends who you're hitting. But it's the way of your approach. But you could email them. You could hit someone on social media. You could DM them. You could tweet. Chances are most people are not going to respond.
Right.
Smart people are going to respond. I respond to everything. I look at everything because there's some type of money there, meaning it could be a song. It could be a producer. It could be a consultant fee. It could be something. You can't just look at it as hard cash.
Right.
You have to look at different things. But if you're out and you approach somebody, I've been approached sometimes like, yo, what up, man? Motherfucker, check my shit out. Like, me as a man, hold on, don't talk to me like that.
Right.
You're not going to approach me like that. You can approach someone else. I'm not your average white guy or your average guy. So I come off hard like that, like, hold on, because I live off respect. But you see someone out, which, like I said, we're all humble. I'm humble, not everybody, but I'm approachable. Just approach someone like, hey, check my music out, or I'm trying to get on. Unfortunately, Eric, everybody, every time I go out, because I only go to industry stuff,
right,
everybody's trying to get on.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to, and it sometimes gets annoying or same stuff,
Right.
And even when I do go out still, it's like people will approach me like, and I would never think that they would know who I am and be like, you're in the music business, right? I saw you on Millionaire Matchmaker. I saw one of the interviews. Oh, I saw you on Instagram. I saw you could check out my music. I even have my father call me all the time. Yo, Dr. Marin's son wants to rap. Check it out. Or my sister did. So,
yeah,
because everybody wants to be a fucking rapper, singer in the music business. So
right.
I just feel like you should approach people the way you'd want to be approached. If you really dissect what I mean. Like, I'm not just going to approach someone like, yo, what's up, motherfucker? Or, yo, check this out. Approach people with respect first and then let everything grow organically.
Right.
We met organically. Everything has to be organic. Never force your way to something. Never push your way into something. Don't be a whore about it. Don't be a slut about it. Don't be a dick about it. Just be humble and let everything go organically. And that goes both sides. A guy like me,
right.
or a legendary rapper, or a young rapper, or a businessman, or an artist trying to get on, or a producer trying to get on. Scott Storch, humble. DMC, humble. Fat Joe, humble. You got some new artists, humble, and some are cocky. So, again, and you have people that approach people to try to get in the music business, and they just do it all wrong, or some do it humbly and nice. But again, there's just so many people trying to do it. It's getting more just like oversaturated with everybody trying to be in the music industry.
Right. I mean, I'd say this is only speaking for myself, but time is limited in a day, and you don't want to spend your day around people who are unthankful and assholes about it, especially when they want you to work for them and put in the work, and then they're not even going to be thankful. Well, it's a waste of time and energy.
Well, you go in there because your question was about people trying to get in the music industry.
Right.
But if you want to talk about people that they're in the music industry and you're working with and they're not thankful and not appreciative, that's the worst thing.
Right.
It's the worst thing. Worst thing. And it sometimes it's sad, man.
You think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because they're being treated by everyone around them like they're on a pedestal, so they get their head starts to swell, and then they say, oh, maybe I did do all this by myself, and forget about all the people who were there.
Correct. That's egos. That's yes men around, dick riders I call them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I argue with all my clients because
right.
I can't bite my tongue. And 9 out of 10 respect it and love it because no one's going to tell them the truth. or they're going to tell them what they want to hear because they want to stay around them, or they're a groupie or a fan or a yes man. So I argue every day with my clients because, I tell them what they don't want to hear.
Right.
But I'm not going to kiss their ass, and then they wake up and realize, like, I respect him.
Yeah.
You have to, because if not, then you're just going in circles.
Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you got some helpful advice from Steve Lobel on the first half of our episode. Tune in next week to find out who Steve believes is a perfect example of success, and he answers the age-old question of, do emerging artists need to move to New York or LA to make it? Till next week, peace.